Welcome back, everybody, to Coach David's Kitchen. Today, we're going to be making minestrone soup. For my last dish, the jambalaya, we used a ton of meat, and I realized that there are a few people on the team that don't actually eat meat. So here we're going to make a vegetarian dish today. What I've got some kale, some kidney beans, a couple fresh tomatoes, celery, carrots, basil, garlic, onions, and those are the bases for it. And then plenty of canned tomatoes. I've got some oregano, salt, pepper, olive oil, some bouillon cubes for the stock, Parmesan cheese, some macaroni elbows, well, not macaroni, but elbows for the pasta, and then a key ingredient that I'm adding to it today. So I miserably failed at the bread challenge, the bread stacking challenge, and I toasted an entire loaf of bread. And so I didn't want it to go to waste. So what I'm going to do with this is make some croutons out of it to put on top of the soup at the end, and I think it's going to be phenomenal. So first things first, as always, wash your vegetables. Get all the crud off of them. Get the wax off the tomatoes. Get everything off. There's too much stuff in mass-produced farming. That's why you buy local and buy organic. So I don't use as many pesticides. Hopefully, get to know your local farmer. Find out. I'm actually going to end up peeling those carrots. Then we're going to dice up the carrot, dice up the celery after I wash it here. And that's going to be the base of our soup, the same base that we used for the jambalaya, the same base that we're going to use for my next soup, which is going to be a potato leek soup. So I'm on this soup kick lately. And the reason why is because you can do anything with it. You can change the profile, especially after the first time you try it. So someone asked me on Facebook, they said, I think it was Kathy Jackson, she asked me for the recipe to the jambalaya, and my aunt quickly responded, he has no recipe, he's just going on a whim. Well, that's the truth. With soups, you do what suits you best. And there doesn't need to be a recipe. I don't have a recipe for this. I'm just going for it. I know what's in it. And then I'm going to put the flavors that I like and try to make a profile that I think is delicious. Before I move on to the next segment, I just thought I'd show real quick while I'm doing all the chopping a way to chop kale or big leafy greens, collard greens, anything like it, mustard greens, callaloo, any of that. You just wad it up in a bunch, and then you can just cut right there. It's satisfying chopping greens. It's one of the best things to chop, like celery. You just can feel the crunch as you go through. It's almost therapeutic. Okay. So anybody that knows me knows there's one thing I can't do, and that's multitask. In a kitchen, that's important, which is why I could never be a chef. But there's one thing you can do that you can't screw up, which is boil bouillon cubes while you chop. Now that everything's chopped, I'm ready to get started, and I can actually cook this dish. So first thing I'm going to do is add the base. I'm going to turn my Instant Pot. I'm going to use that again because it's amazing. I'm going to turn that to saute. Put in a little oil. I'll wait for that to heat up. And then I'm going to add the onions, the carrots, and the celery, and the garlic to get that flavor profile, get everything browned and start to caramelize just a little bit. And then once we go from there, we can add the rest of the ingredients. Okay, so this base is called mirepoix. And it's used in almost every single soup. You're not supposed to brown it, but I do, just because I think it brings out more flavor. I don't brown it much, just slightly. More till it starts to just kind of wither away and get kind of mushy in there. So I'm adding the onions, the celery, and the carrots to this base. And as soon as you put it in and as soon as you start to smell it, it smells incredible. The key to this, once you have it in, is to keep it moving fast. while I was chopping, I think I mentioned this, maybe not. Yeah, the bouillon cubes. I'm using 3 big bouillon cubes, which is usually about 2 cups of water per on the boil, and so that's 6 cups. I probably won't use all 6 cups because I'm using the Instant Pot. It's a pressure cooker. You don't need as much liquid for anything really that you're cooking. So now the celery, the carrots, and the onions are all in there. Now I just got to keep it moving. And as soon as you put that in, you start to smell it, and you know it's going to be something good. Now I'm even going to add the garlic earlier than you're supposed to the base. And I use extra garlic. The garlic is good for the immune system, plus I love garlic, so I use more than most people in most of my dishes. And you can see that sauteing, just keep it moving. Make sure you got enough oil, add a little salt, add a little pepper, and you're good to go. Okay, now I'm happy with the base, so I'm going to turn that off. That's off. And now I'm going to add all the key ingredients to making this thing awesome. So first I'm going to go with the tomatoes. These are the diced tomatoes. These are peeled whole tomatoes. Then I'm going to add the fresh tomatoes. Then I will add the rest of the garlic, the basil, and then the stock, or the broth. So the broth, I'm not going to add all of it. I don't think I need it all. I'll probably add about 5 cups of broth. Got all that in there. Then I'm going to add in the kale. Now kale isn't usually in minestrone soup. Minestrone soup usually has green beans, not kale. I don't particularly like green beans, so I'm adding kale. Kale has a lot of protein, plus it has the enzymes in it to break down the protein in your body. So it's a great source of not only protein, but those enzymes to help with the protein. So I'm adding the kale, and it's got a very low flavor profile. So in a soup, it's not going to overwhelm it. It's not going to make it taste nasty. And then next, add the kidney beans. Because I'm using a pressure cooker, I can use dried kidney beans. Not a problem, because I'm going to cook it for a long time to let all those flavors set in. A good stir. And then I'm going to seal it, cook it for 40 minutes. While I'm cooking it for 40 minutes, I'm going to work on the croutons and the pasta. And got plenty of time once that happens. Oh, don't forget the oregano. Very important. Add a little more pepper, a little more salt, and then it's good to seal. I seal it. I'm going to let you take a good look at this beauty. All kinds of flavor in there. That is going to be delicious. Okay, so I've never made croutons before, but since I have the bread from the failed challenge, I'm going to give it a shot. So I'm going to throw some garlic into the oil, a little bit of onion, just a tiny bit. I definitely don't want onion overpowering the flavor of the croutons. Chop that up real quick. Drop it in. Where did my spatula go? Got it. Give that a little stir around. It's funny, I don't know if anybody completed the challenge. 24 inches is a lot higher than I thought it was, and I only had 2/3 loaf of bread. So I toasted every single piece, and then I stripped it so that it would have like pillars, and still didn't work out. Okay, so now that the garlic's frying up in there, I'm going to drop in the bread. I cut them into squares. I'm actually going to add some more oil to that. These croutons are just really fried bread. So, turns out, you don't really always know what you're eating until you try to make it yourself. Croutons are ridiculously unhealthy. I can't even tell you how much oil I've been putting in here to try to get them to brown the way I want them to. And it's a lot. It's almost a disgusting amount. But everything's turning nice and golden brown, so I'm sure they'll be delicious. I don't want to eat nearly as many as I wanted to at the beginning of this project. The garlic isn't sticking to the croutons. There's got to be a secret to that. I don't know what I did wrong there, but got to do something better for that. But you definitely don't want to do this on a super high heat, or you'll just burn them, and that's not what we're looking for. We're looking for a nice golden brown, which is what we're getting right now. I think these are just about ready. Nice crispy croutons full of tons of fatty oil that is really not good for me at this stage. I've also got the water boiling that I'm going to put the pasta in, and I'm going to add the pasta to the soup after the soup is done. We've got 8 more minutes to go on the soup. Add everything together, and we got ourselves a meal that was relatively healthy until I made these croutons. Maybe we'll just call that dessert. Okay, so now those are done. I'm going to throw those into a bowl. Get some of that burnt garlic in there. Some of that caramelized onion in there. Turn off the heat. And then I'm just going to toss it with some Italian blend seasoning. And those actually smell delicious. Nice golden brown, beautiful croutons to go with the soup. Now, the pasta. Everybody knows how to boil pasta, so I'm going to move on to the next segment. Right, I could not be more excited. Look at this. Looks beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. Okay, so now I'm going to add the macaroni to this. Or the elbows. Don't know exactly how much I'm going to put in. Just put some in, mix it around, see how it looks, and do it again. So I'll put half in for now. That was 2 boxes of the macaroni elbows. Give it a good stir. It's going to need a little more. A good stir again. Looking more like it. A little more. And we should be good to go. That looks amazing. All right. Now, to serve it up, what I'm going to do, put it in some soup bowl cups. Boom. Get a little more broth in there. There it is. There it is. This is the good stuff. I can't wait to try it. A little more broth in there. And then I'm going to top it with some shredded Parmesan all over. And on top of the Parmesan, I'm going to throw a couple croutons. Some of the unhealthy stuff for what was a very healthy soup. You can already see that Parmesan melting a little bit. This is going to be phenomenal. Take a look at that. Beautiful. Beautiful. And now the true test to see if this worked. We got Coach Ryan with us. We're going to see. He's a bit of a food snob himself. Eats very well.
No lie. That's good. That was good. A lot of flavor buffs through there. And that was just a little of the broth.
A little hot,
Yeah.
but a double thumbs up for me. Oh,
Yeah. I
you gotta
say
wait for it
thumbs
to
up.
cool a little bit
Very hot.
before you eat it, but that is phenomenal.
Croutons.
Croutons, great addition. Who would have thunk it?
When
All
it
right,
cools
now
down,
you have it. Minestrone soup from Coach David's Kitchen.
Delicious.
Thanks for tuning in.
I'm in.